wrong, I said to him, look, you have a week to make this right. And I'm not going to tell you what you need to do to make it right, but I'm giving you a week to do it.
Right.
If at the end of that week you have not come back to me and said, this is what I did to make it right, then you're forcing me to take action.
That's how you're not a dictator, because you're saying, look, there's disharmony here. You guys got to figure it out. You're adults. The two of you can get it, your brothers, you can get together and figure it out. I'm not going to tell you how it has to go.
Right. If I have to get involved, this is what I'm going to do.
Right, exactly.
But you've got a week to handle it on your own. And he handled it within 48 hours, and it became a non-issue. But
apologize. We lost the live feed. I don't know what the hell happened. It just said there was an unexplained error, and it just crapped out, just died. So
we're back live now?
Yeah, I'm back live. We got Greg Schultz and Joseph back. But, yeah, I don't know. That was weird. No, nothing's burning. That was Greg Schultz just said, better check the electric. Something might be
I
burning.
did say something was burning before.
Yeah, I mean, Joe smelled something.
It smelled like an electrical burn before. I said it.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you walked
So
around
we've got
and sift
people back.
everything
We've got
already,
Greg
so.
Schultz back. Susan is watching with us. Hello, Susan.
That was bizarre. It's never just shut off like that. Usually it's when our Wi-Fi decides to crap out, but we're on Ken's. So anyway, let's get back into the next one.
Make sure this thing's still on.
Why does it always crap out when I'm talking? Have you noticed that? You're messing around with it.
No, I swear to God.
Son of a...
I swear to God. I was literally reading through the questions and boom, it just dropped.
Maybe the gingers carry some kind of electromagnetic field and send out a pulse and mess with it.
Okay.
Send out a pulse.
Number 6. I will always make it crystal clear where I stand and what I believe. I think that one of the major problems with leaders, and again, you can take this even politically, is that they'll say one thing. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to fix this. I'm going to fix that. And then they don't. It crushes your credibility as a person when you go ahead and, everyone should know where you stand. Like, this is where I stand. Like, this is what I'm going to do. And this is my goal for my master's year. This is what I'm going to do. And when you say, something like, oh, yeah, well, listen, this next meeting in November, there's our inspection. This is when we're doing our EA degree. And then never set anything up. And then,
even just having the vision to begin with, I think, is important as a leader. Right?
Yes.
Otherwise, you're just kind of like letting
right.
entropy take its own, take its course. And
when you're unclear or you're muddy about what you're going to do, it confuses people. It really is confusing. When you have a master, it's like, well, are we going to do an EA degree, or what are we going to do? Or is it a state? Well,
what do you guys think?
What do you guys think? Like, be a leader. Grab the bull by the horns, and this is what we're doing. Bam! Now everybody has a direction. Whereas if you leave it up in the air, nobody knows what to do. Do I study my EA? Do I not study the EA?
Right. And you've got to be very clear on what your plans are and what your expectations are. And it's one of the things I pulled in from work. We talk about it all the time, and it's very big in just about any industry. A SMART plan. You have a SMART action plan. It's specific, it's measurable, it's attainable, it's reasonable, and it's time bound.
We have that for yearly goals in my company.
Yeah,
too. It's got to be SMART.
If you do those things, it specifically measures out what the expectations are, and you can constantly refer back to it. In my year, I had a 3-pillar plan where I wanted to concentrate on Masonic education, I wanted to concentrate on financial stability, and I wanted to concentrate on community service. So anything that we did that year went back to one of those 3.
Greg Schultz actually brought up a good point.
That's a strategy, and you operationalized it.
Greg Schultz actually brought up a good point. He says goals need to be able to be measured to know when they are accomplished. I also, and I think, kind of along those lines, make sure your goals are feasible. Don't do something like set up an event.
Well, that's the A in SMART is achievable. Achievable
or attainable.
Attainable.
Either or.
Right. Oh, is
Basically,
that what that was?
That's what the A in the
basically you're
SMART
just repeating
acronym
what
is.
I'm saying, but using different words.
Yeah, you're basically just reiterating everything. George.
My job doesn't have interesting little meetings.
Hey,
like
you
this.
know what? Like
Get in that truck and get the shit now.
at the end of the day, every leadership philosophy has been written about in a book that's being sold right now in an
Yes.
airport kiosk. All right, there are no new ideas.
There are some really
You
good ones out
you take little puzzle
Right.
pieces of all these good and these good guidelines for being a leader, and you put them together for what makes sense for the environment that you're in and who you are as a person and what your strengths are.
Right.
But there is no one perfect.
Or you
know,
just watch a TED
magic
talk
bullet
and
here.
say you're an expert.
Or a TED talk or whatever. I mean, I'm a little cynical about this because every new initiative at my company seems to be based on some executive that was in an airport and read something in a
Or
in a
you
book
could
in
look
a
at
kiosk.
or you could look at the same things in the Bible, because that's why I say y'all need Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, these are not new ideas. There's nothing new
Y'all need
under.
Jesus.
Speaking of the Bible, there is nothing new under the sun.
But there are some valuable things. Actually, I'll let you go on, and I'll add.
All right, this
All
is
that
pretty much my
commentary.
last one.
Okay.
This is pretty much my last one. And again, if you want to look at this book, this is a good book. The Rogue Warrior. It's called by Richard Marcinko. Leadership Skills for the Rogue Warrior. And again, this is one of many books that talks about good leadership and everything. Sun Tzu's a good one too. But
That's the art of war.
it's the Art of War.
Yeah.
Love that book.
Yeah.
I've said it before. Last one. In this one, this is my absolute favorite. I've said the other ones were ones of my favorite, but this one is my absolute favorite leadership code of the Rogue Warrior. And it's, I will be easy to find. I will be at the center of the battle.
Yep.
Love
Yes.
that one.
Yep.
My absolute favorite.
And that's applicable to more than just
Mhm.
warfare
Yeah.
in the military.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You got to be willing to be in the thick of it with your guys if you want them to respect you.
Mhm. Yeah.
In any walk of life.
You have to, you can't, if you let's just say, again, lodge. Let's say a lodge is getting in trouble, lodge is having issues, Grand Lodge is in there, maybe it's finances or whatever. That master better have his ass plastered to that secretary's desk, right in the thick of it, figuring out. Don't just be like, well, I don't know.
Nope.
I did my grips and words well, so I don't know what the secretary and treasurer are doing.
Don't be the general on the hill
Right.
watching as your men get slaughtered.
No, don't.
Not cool.
One of the best one of my favorite historical figures was Richard the Lionhearted. One of my absolute favorite,
Richard the Lion.
because when he was fighting Saladin and he went after Jaffa, and this is a true story. You can look this up. This is not me embellishing, but one of the stories is when he went after the port of Jaffa. I keep saying it's either Jaffa or Joppa. I don't know.
But Joppa is definitely from our ritual, obviously from the Bible too.
Right.
Yeah.
But Saladin had attacked this particular seafaring city, port, whatever he was, and
I think it's Joppa then,
Joppa.
because that's a port. Yeah.
Richard the Lionhearted, with only 50 or so cavalry or horsemen, came down and he hit the battle. Bam! And then the Saracens were mopping the floor at this point. And he came in and he was the first one in the battle, and he was just cutting people down left and right. He actually had the horse shot out from underneath him. And Saladin respected him that much that he sent him another horse. But Richard the Lionheart was at the front of the battle, and he ended up turning the tide and sending Saladin packing. That's a commendable thing, to be at the front of the battle and taking shots. It's actually a morale booster.
And ostensibly outnumbered, right? Weren't they
Extensively outnumbered, by an insane amount.
Yeah.
But just the sight of him showing up on the battlefield, it affected the morale in a negative way to the Saracens,
Yep.
but
a positive way.
but a positive way to the Franks. And as a leader, even in a Masonic lodge or any type, your job, you can attribute it to anything.
Yep.
That leader shows up and he's the one taking the brunt of it.
Yep.
It's a morale boost for your lodge. It's a morale boost for the company you're with.
Yep.
That, holy shit, like he showed up and he was ready, he was guns blazing, ready to defend.
And it will
This
equally destroy the
Right.
morale of your folks if you decide to take a back seat and
That's
say, "Well, you
absolutely
guys
right.
deal with it. You're the ones that are executing." Yeah, no, it's never been a fan of that.
Yeah. So, a couple other things. And again, I'm talking on I went to the Rogue Warrior thing. And yes, those are all typical of what you would call an alpha personality.
Mm-hmm.
An alpha personality for the most part.
Alpha, red.
Right.
You're going. There's different color personalities.
And those are very tough traits right there.
Type
But let's
A.
get into the other end of it. And I think also a good leader needs to be diplomatic. You have many different Masons. This is life, lodge, whatever you want to call it, with different, theories or directions that they think that should go. Maybe I think we need to raise dues to $150. Rocco thinks we need to lower them. But if Rocco approaches me and I'm the master, the last thing you want to do is, he comes up and he says, listen, I think we need to lower dues to 75 because it'll bring in more members and blah, 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 blah. The last thing you want to do is go, Rocco, you're wrong, and shut down that conversation.
Yep. Because guess who's never going to volunteer any new idea that may be
Correct.
genius
Right.
from then on.
Furthermore, you'll also get an entire lodge turn against you. Let's say there's, Rocco comes to me and he says, we need to do this. Okay. But maybe Rocco is just the spokesperson for the rest of your lodge. Maybe the rest of your lodge feels the same way. And Rocco's just the most boisterous one of them all. Boisterous? Am I right?
Boisterous.
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 Boisterous was
Boisterous.
that's an
Boisterous?
interesting
Speaking of-
combination of the.
Vocal. Was that like a blend of vocal and boisterous?
Yes.
You said
Yes, it was.
boisterous.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I love it. This is why
Listen,
I
We
But
need
it actually works.
We need,
Hey,
this is why
we need to
it
start a
works.
dictionary.
It does
Hey,
work.
start a-
Listen to me, though.
We need a Mudry dictionary.
A Mudry thesaurus.
Where's the pen
I'm
and paper?
just giving our Discordians a gift. I'm just
Scribe.
Anyway, back on his head. Maybe he's just the most vocal of the group, and he, they're all like, "Hey, Rocco, go talk to the master. Let's see if we can get these dues lowered. They're a little expensive." And again, I'm using dues as a very primitive example.
It's usually a hot topic.
It's usually a hot topic, but let's just say they elect him to come talk to me, and I shut him down right from the jump. I can almost promise you that anything that master wants to do for the rest of his year is going to go
Right.
shot. It's not going to happen because they're like, oh, they didn't even give him the time of day. All right, good. But now that same master decides to, I'm going to fix my mic a little bit. That same Rocco comes up to that master and he's like, hey, can I talk to you about the dues? I think we should lower them. I know you were talking about raising them. I want to lower. All right, Rocco, tell me your thoughts. And sits down, shuts up, and listens to what Rocco has to say. Even if he doesn't agree. So he listens to him. He's going to have that respect for him that, well, at least he listened to me. And I feel like even in society today, nobody listens to listen.
Yeah.
They listen to counterpoint.
Right. To defend their own.
And that's in politics.
Waiting for a
That's on
chance to
social
speak.
media. That's on anything. Nobody listens. And I feel like me, again, I've said it before. I talk a lot on this. But I also shut up and I listen a lot to what somebody's going to say, not with the point of trying to come back at you, but just to hear what you got to say.
Well, and I think if you go back to our prior episode to talk about guns in the lodge, like I think that's a perfect example of how you can handle a tough subject. Let me guess, the Schultz brothers are acting up. I don't even have to look at the field.
Finish your thought, Jones.
I think it's like we had a very healthy debate on that, and nobody was right, nobody was wrong, and nobody tried to convince anything. They just stated their point of view, and like we kind of came to our own compromises in that hour episode.
And we still hang out together.
And we still enjoy most of each other's company.
I've also said that, it's been said that, having a relationship with somebody, and I'm not talking about relationship as in,
Like our relationship.
relationship.
Spreading the cement of brotherly love
Yeah.
and friendship.
Oh, this is turning real.
I think you just broke me.
Did I just break the internet?
In all seriousness,
I'm
though, relationship amongst people or amongst brothers, I think that disagreeing in how you resolve your conflict is actually more beneficial than just having the same mind. think about it in terms of like a relationship, an actual male, female, or whatever relationship at home. And when you first start dating, it's like, oh, I love you. Everything's all sweet and great and everything. Live together and don't put the toilet seat down.
Yeah.
Live together and wait till the dishes are done and put a glass in there.
Then you see what you're dealing
Conflict resolution will tell you more or improve a relationship more so than just agreeing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And, everybody thinks when you step into the master's role or any type of leadership role, you step into the leadership role and it's just, everyone's going to listen to me. No,
they'll hear you.
They'll hear
They
you.
might not listen to you.
And the minute you turn your back to me going, yeah.
Yep.
Understand, every master is going to go through.
Seriously.
Oh, God, is that Rafferty?
It's Rafferty. Yeah, it's Rafferty.
Raff. I love you, but
Rafferty.
seriously.
As I said in my very first appearance.
Yeah, we hear you. Stop whistling.
Screw Rafferty. Actually, I might have said, screw Rafferty.
Are we at half an hour? Should we
I think it
break
was an
and
after
show
hours
whatever he's
episode.
doing?
That was after hours episode. That's matter of fact, we've been about 42 minutes. We're actually going to we're going to break. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to open up the questions. We're going to keep the live feed going. Joe's probably going to sing because that's what Joe does.
Any request? I didn't even think of that.
Let me just throw this in here while we're on the topic. I'll just wrap up. My favorite leadership trait of a really good leader is
It's me!
doesn't take
humility.
Credit for their achievement.
Yep.
Right? Who gives the credit to the workers or gives it to the rest of the lodge. And I think leaders that do that exhibit that's the trait that I admire the most when leaders do that.
Right.
It's like, oh no, my team did it.
Right.
Yep.
My officers did the work.
Leaders are there to serve the team.
Yeah.
If the team who is executing on the vision does well, the team gets the credit.
Yeah. Right.
Not the leader. The
Correct.
leader just had the vision.
Right. As a matter of fact, they used to have the Masters. It was the Masters Award. What was it? That award that we did in Connecticut. It was like the Worshipful Master Award or something like that.
I don't
win that. I
remember
don't
what
know.
the master one is.
I'll look out in the hallway, but it was the Masters Achievement Award. Boom!
Master's Achievement. Okay,
There we go.
yep.
It was the Masters Achievement Award, and they ended up changing the title of it, and it became the Lodge Achievement Award.
Yeah. Good call there.
And I liked it. I liked that they changed it because the Master's Achievement